If you're new here at Ramos Law, I'm going to answer a question right now that you're probably wondering. Why did I become an attorney after already going through medical school and becoming a doctor? I always get asked this question. Some people even think that I'm not a real doctor and that I never practiced medicine. That's funny because yes, I'm a real doctor. And in fact, I still practice medicine. So then why did I become an attorney? Well, here's how it happened. I was at the University Hospital working as an attending physician. I worked there for nearly 10 years. During my time at the University Hospital, there were frequently requests for expert witnesses. There were all types of accidents and injuries that would occur, gunshot wounds, assaults, batteries, and people would be injured. Ultimately, those result in court cases. And during those court cases, they need experts. They frequently ask university hospital attendings to be experts because we all have, what I'd call pretty CVs. We've all written papers, we've all published, we attend journal club every week. You're teaching residents constantly. And there's a lot of credibility that comes along with that university attending title. And now, despite the credibility that comes with it and how it makes you a good expert, many doctors there, many of the attendings did not like testifying. In fact, they hated it. They would do anything they could do to get out of it. The reasons that doctors don't like to testify, I think, is they don't like to be put on the spot. They don't like to look stupid. And what do attorneys do to a doctor when they get him on the stand? They try to make him look stupid. And the doctors didn't like it, and consequently what would happen is expert requests would come in and they frequently go in my box, or people would tell me about them. And through this, I got associated with attorneys or people who were looking for experts, and I was frequently called upon to serve that role. You see, I like testifying. I enjoyed the oral chess match before the jury, arguing a point. And here's why. It's about a patient. It's about a person. It's about their injuries. And I want to make sure that that jury understands everything they need to make sure that the person is treated fairly. So I loved it, except for this one day, because it goes back to why did I become an attorney after being a doctor? And it was this. One day I had gone to trial and I had testified. And it was someone who had severe injuries. And the attorney started asking me questions. 3, 4, 5 questions in, he stopped and sat down, was done with his part of the case. And I was sitting on the stand and I was shocked. I was appalled because frankly, he didn't ask anything that helped this jury understand this poor person's injuries or what they were going to have to go through for the rest of their life. And the reason he didn't ask more questions is he didn't understand the medicine. It was simple. He just didn't get it. So he sat down because he didn't know what else to ask. The jury didn't understand. And I ended up getting off the stand and I went home that day. And when I told my wife I didn't enjoy it, I explained that to her. I said, sweetie, I just don't feel like the person's story got told. I feel terrible for them. And she goes, oh, yeah, that sucks. I said, yeah, it does. And I said, and they're lucky that I'm not an attorney because if I was, they could run, but they couldn't hide. And she said, oh, that'd be cool. And I thought, well, that must mean yes. So I got on my computer and I searched, how do you become an attorney? I had no idea, frankly. Medicine was my love. It always has been my love. And I see this thing about this LSAT. And it's this admissions test you need to get into law school. Yeah, I wonder what that is. And I looked at it a little bit. And as fate would have it, and I don't believe anything happens by accident, they were given the LSAT up in Nevada like a month later. And Nevada's where I'm from. I grew up there and I have friends there. I went to medical school up there. And I thought, wow, this is great. I'll go back and see some buddies, maybe see my family. And oh yeah, by the way, I'll take this test while I'm up there. So I scheduled it. But the irony is even more than that. You weren't allowed to schedule this test that close to the date. You had to be pre-registered for it, unless there was a cancellation. And if there was a cancellation, you could pay a $100 late fee and you could get the spot. And again, not by accident, because I don't believe in accidents. There was a spot. There was a cancellation. I paid the $100 late fee, got in for the test. About a week before the test, I got busy. I'm an attending physician at the University Hospital. I've got kids. I'm married. I've got businesses at that point going, several businesses. And I kind of just put this test off. And the week before, I went, I wonder what this test is about. So I went to Barnes & Noble on my way home and I bought a book about the LSAT. And I read it on the airplane flying up to Las Vegas, read it a little bit that night while I was up there, and took the LSAT the next day. And again, about, 6 months later or so, I was in law school. Again, I don't believe things happen by accident. This was how it was meant to be for me. And law school itself was actually fun. And my group in the hospital, by the way, loved it. I went full-time nights in the hospital. Nobody likes to do nights. Medical doctors hate night shifts. I went full-time nights, did law school during the day. And I loved law school. It was fun. You know, you read a bunch of stories and they're these outrageous stories that you'd never even believe. And then you basically come up with great arguments about why they come out, how they come out. And the more creative the argument, the smarter the student you appear to be. And so law school was a ton of fun. I enjoyed it. And I'm very, very happy that this is the path that my life took. I see many of my doctor buddies and I see the burnout in them and sometimes maybe even the regret. And I feel bad because they're caring for people and they're caring for people's lives. And we should all be full of energy and full of love and kindness, care, respect, gentleness as we're taking care of people or going about our life. And I see that missing and I don't have that. I wake up every day happy. Now, do I miss medicine? That's the other question I often get. The answer is no. Because I've never left it. I'm a licensed medical doctor in 10 different states, and I still get to practice medicine at least a day a week, every week to this day. I also stay up to date on all of my continuing medical education. I attend medical conferences. I regularly read medical journals. I have a lot of my medical doctor buddies I still hang out with. So I love medicine, and I probably love it mostly just because it's taking care of people. And the good thing about medicine is when you take care of people, you see your result now. And that's pretty cool. It's a little bit different from law that's a little bit slower paced. Now, the next most common question I get asked is this. Does it really matter that I'm a medical doctor and attorney? I mean, really? Is it just some hype? Or does it make a difference? Well, without a doubt, yes, it makes a difference being a medical doctor and an attorney. The only reason I went to law school is because I experienced firsthand as a doctor and as an expert witness, how poorly the patients were being represented. That's the only reason I did this. The disservice being done to these patients, to these people, to their lives, it killed me. More so, the people didn't even realize it. That's right. The people being represented by the attorneys didn't realize how poor the representation is they were receiving. You see, the attorneys that had been hired to represent these people didn't know what they were talking about. But most of the patients didn't fully understand their injuries either. So they didn't know that the attorney was clueless. As a doctor, though, I do. Injured people just trust. Attorneys have a duty to work hard, to understand, and to teach a jury. It takes a doctor who cares to explain what's going on. And it also takes an attorney who cares enough to learn the medicine, to ask the proper questions, and to get the truth out. If a doctor doesn't know the injuries and doesn't fully understand the impact that they have on people in some situations, then how's an attorney supposed to understand it? They don't. The attorneys need to represent people that are fullest. They need to have the interests of the people at heart. That means you have to know the medicine. So, how can an attorney best tell the injured person's story if they don't know the medicine? The answer is, they can't. The reason Ramos Law is the fastest growing law firm in the state of Colorado is because people see the difference when they come here. They can tell that something is different, and it is. And we take that to heart. This is why in many of our commercials with this statement, what makes us different makes us better. It isn't just a slogan, it's the truth. What makes us different makes us better.